Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. How much of your income do you need to replace when it comes to retirement? That's probably a better retirement readiness question than, say, asking yourself, how much of a nest egg do I need to have built up before I can retire? In a way, they're asking a similar question, but that first question gives you more information to work with and can actually lead to an answer to that second question. Because retirement is really about saying you no longer need to be dependent on a job, but rather you have ways to generate enough reliable income streams to sustain your desired lifestyle. And to know when you've reached that point, you need to know roughly how much you plan on spending in retirement. And for that, we defer to what is known as the income replacement rate. Your income replacement rate is the percentage of pre-retirement income that you'll need to fund your retirement once you stop working full-time. For most people, this income is based on their pre-retirement income simply because most people tend to continue living a similar lifestyle once they go from their working years into their retirement years. For instance, they may continue living in the same home or continue with the same hobbies, things like that. However, if your retirement is going to look drastically different than your working years, say you sell your home and move to an entirely different country, maybe your pre-retirement income doesn't serve as the best baseline. Rather, you might have to get a little bit creative when coming up with what your income needs will be in retirement. But if you're going the more traditional route, a good baseline would be to base it off your pre-retirement income. And generally, experts recommend anywhere from 70 to 90% of your pre-retirement income as a replacement in retirement. 80% is a pretty popular rule of thumb, so much so that it's often known as the rule of 80%, where you aim to replace 80% of your income in retirement. Financial brokerage house T. Rowe Price recommends using 75% as a target for income replacement. Now, it's really hard to assign an exact right percentage because everyone's situation looks so different. What your goals are, what your lifestyle looks like, what type of retirement you're planning for, and several dozens of other factors that go into planning an individual retirement. That's why I like to say finance is personal. However, for many, I think it's safe to assume you'll probably need less in your retirement years than you did in your working years. And it primarily comes down to three things: taxes, savings, and expenses. Once you enter into retirement, you could face a lower tax liability. And the thought behind this is that traditional wages, earned income, payroll, they face FICA taxes to fund Social Security and Medicare programs.
Who's FICA? Why is he getting all my money?
And FICA taxes comprise 15.3% of one's wages. But the good news is that you and your employer actually split this percentage. Each pay 6.2% towards Social Security and 1.45% goes towards Medicare. So all in all, you can assume you'll pay about 7.5% less in taxes in retirement based on income. As FICA taxes don't apply to distributions from traditional brokerage accounts, 401ks, IRAs, Social Security benefits, pensions, or annuities. And these really are the more traditional forms of income once you hit retirement. However, if you do have earned income in retirement, you can expect that you'll still pay FICA on that. And that's certainly not to say that you're not going to pay any taxes in retirement. Annuities, pensions, traditional retirement accounts, aka that non-Roth variety, they are all going to be taxed at ordinary income tax rate. And brokerage accounts, they face taxes depending on what's invested in them. Could be short-term capital gains, long-term capital gains, even dividends could be taxed, depends on the situation. Social Security or a percentage of it can be taxed. Again, it depends on the situation. As they say in life, nothing is certain except death and taxes. But for most people, their earned income, those working wages, really are their most significant source of income. So when they step away from their job and enter into retirement and start to rely on those more passive income streams, the tax burden could be lessened by about 7.5%. During your working years, you're likely saving for your future. You know, that future where you hope not to have to work. That's the whole point of saving. And once you reach that point where you can step away from the workforce, you shouldn't need to save anymore. You should be able to transition from the wealth accumulation phase, where you're building up your nest egg as large as possible, to the wealth decumulation phase, where your nest egg is carrying you through the rest of your life, or hopefully carrying you through the rest of your life. And it's really hard to put a number to this one because we all have different savings rates. The average worker contributes roughly 8% of their pay to their company retirement plan. And only 35% of Americans invest outside of their company plan. However, you may have a very different savings rate. Maybe you save 20% of your income, maybe more, maybe less. I'm gonna link one of my favorite calculators down below. It's on a website called Networthify. I just love how it shows playing with different savings rates, rates of returns, withdrawal rates can impact your time to retirement. So if you want to plug some numbers in, the link will be down below. Safe to say, the more aggressive you are with your savings rate, the quicker you're gonna reach financial freedom and be able to retire. Also, the lesser percentage of your working year's income you're gonna need to replace because you've already been living on less. For instance, if we totally ignore taxes for a moment and say you make $75,000 a year and invest 20% or $15,000, you'd be used to living on $60,000. But if you make $75,000 and invest 8% or $6,000, you'd be used to living on $69,000. So in that case, you would likely have higher income replacement needs to maintain that lifestyle. Once you reach retirement, once you no longer need to save, you can expect that you'll need a lesser of an income based on whatever your savings rate. Studies have shown that people tend to spend less in retirement. On average, spending for retirees actually declines at a rate of 1 to 2.5% per year each year in retirement. Now, of course, everyone's retirement looks different and only you know what type of retirement you're planning for. But if you are planning that more traditional retirement, you can expect that your expenses actually would decline in retirement. But they will vary throughout the years, of course, as expenses tend to do. But the number recommended by the big financial planning firms for financial planning purposes is that you can say that roughly your expenses would decline by about 5%. Maybe you drive less, so you no longer have an hour commute to work. Maybe you save on work attire, or maybe you downsize your home and drastically cut your housing costs. Or maybe you enter into retirement with a fully paid off home. That's a huge monthly savings. So if you look at tax savings, the need to no longer save and reduce expenses in life, you can see why they say you might need 80% of your pre-retirement income. I think this is a good rule of thumb to start with because it gives you something to aim for. As with any rule of thumb, I don't think it's perfect, but it's a good starting point. When retirement is a ways off, decades away, it's great to have these broad goals. But as retirement gets nearer and nearer, you're gonna wanna get more specific so you meet the needs of your specific situation. It's also important to keep in mind that there's a one-to-one replacement in this situation. If you save 5% more, that's 5% less of an income you have to replace in retirement. Likewise, if you plan on cutting your expenses by 10% in retirement, that's 10% less of your income you need to replace. And you can then take this 80% figure and kind of figure out how much you're going to need in investments to give you that amount. Let's say you are making $75,000 a year, 80% of that would be $60,000. If you're a follower of the rule of 4%, that would suggest a nest egg of 1.5 million. If you want to be more conservative, use a 3% withdrawal rate, that would look more like 2 million. Now those are some hefty numbers, and they're missing an important factor in that many retirees have alternative sources of income, perhaps Social Security, perhaps a pension, and you absolutely want to factor these in. If you were a higher income earner, Social Security will likely replace a smaller percentage of your income needs in retirement. Also consider if you have a partner or if you're married, and if both people are receiving Social Security benefits, that's going to have a bigger impact on the household finances. A pension would likewise reduce investment needs. The best way to find out how much your Social Security check will be is to create an account with SSA.gov. But the average Social Security check is about $1,500. So let's return to the previous example of needing to replace 80% of a $75,000 income or $60,000, but this time factor in Social Security and maybe a pension. If our worker receives the average benefit of $1,500 or $18,600 a year, now they need to replace just $41,400 or investments of just over $1 million. But if this is a two-person household, still with the same income needs, but if both people are receiving the average benefit of $1,550 or $37,200 per year, now their income replacement needs drop to just $22,800 or investment needs of $570,000. What if in this two-person household, one person had a pension of $1,000 a month coming in? Now they only have a gap of $10,800 $1,000 a year, so their investment needs again drop, this time to $270,000. Pensions and Social Security, they absolutely have an impact. I think this income replacement percentage is a great starting place for helping you figure out how much you need in retirement. However, I do think it's important that you personalize it to your goals and your lifestyle. So, what income percentage replacement rate would you use if you're doing these calculations? Let me know in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye.